homosexual news, because I didn't even know he was gay. So yeah, the voice actor Jonathan Joss. One of the things I did not know, like I said, I didn't know he was gay. I wasn't really a big watcher of King of the Hill. Like I've seen a couple of episodes, but I was not really a big King of the Hill follower. But yeah, apparently there was some story that one of the voice actors was killed by his neighbor. But the crazy part is that yeah, his husband is accusing his killer. He said it was a homophobic attack, and we have the cops that's out here saying that it wasn't a homophobic attack. They said that's the full picture, and then at the bottom, if y'all can see, um, that's the mugshot. I actually got the full mugshot, and I will get to that in a second. But yeah, I just want to give y'all that full photo before we got to the rest of the thing. But anyway, so yeah, so now Jonathan Jaws, you know, he played actually John Redcorn on King of the Hill. And he was 59 years old. He was killed in Texas. And you already know, like we talked about it earlier, that Texas is, you know, pushing back a lot of the queer rights. We had it was mentioned earlier that and by one of the commenters that yeah, that Texas just passed a bill. Wait, hold on. Let's Google because I want to get it right. Where I could basically talk about. Oh yeah, they said that's also look. So basically, what it is like Texas has enacted several laws that impact the LGBTQ plus community, including those related to gender affirming care for minors, trans student athletes, and the definition of man and woman in state records. These laws have been met with legal challenges and public outcry. So yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that has been going on regarding Texas. So when somebody goes and says um that it was possibly a homophobic attack, I'm not surprised by this. And I'm going to actually believe people when they say this, even though the police is out here saying there's no evidence. Because yeah, they said that also in 2025, Texas saw a wave of anti-LGBTQ plus legislation, particularly targeting transgender individuals, including bans on DEI programs in schools and LGBTQ plus clubs, restrictions on gender affirming care for minors, and laws mandating the use of bathrooms and facilities based on sex assigned at birth. And I don't know if it was necessarily Texas, but I already told y'all the story about a trans man who wanted to use the restroom. They told him he had to use the restroom of the gender he was assigned at birth, which would be female. He went and used the female's bathroom, and then they beat him up. So how you going to tell me that the law is that we only acknowledge either male and females? There is no non-binary. There is no transgender. There is no in between. And this is no different than the times of like when y'all didn't want black people using the bathrooms or drinking from the same water fountain and stuff. This is the new boogeyman. So we're going to go after trans people because they're the ones that's taking away your jobs. They're the ones that's doing all these other things. So it's like, yeah, now we're going back to harassing homosexuals. So yeah, now they're out here trying to ban clubs that support gay students because it's like, and you already heard the news about what was it about the recent petition that was signed by like Ariana Grande and Pedro Pascal and all them, where they're going after the Trevor Project, which helps a lot of queer youth. It's a suicide hotline, so then they're trying to take money from that. So yeah, so now let's get into the story because I wanted to actually just set all of that up before we get into the actual story of what happened because I want y'all to be aware of what's going on in Texas and the roles in the anti-LGBTQ plus laws that are going on out there. So now, hours after news broke that the King of the Hill actor was killed during a dispute with their former neighbor in San Antonio, Texas, on June 1st, the first day of Pride Month, yeah, his husband offered his first-hand account of the incident. Tristan Kern de Gonzalez took to Joss's Facebook page to reveal that he was present when Joss was shot and claimed the issue was rooted in homophobia. Now, I do have the full clip of, well, not even the full clip. I have the full photo well, his statement, I should say. So let me take this out so y'all can see it. And then I'll read it. So, statement from Tristan Kern de Gonzalez. He said, husband of Jonathan Joss. My husband Jonathan Joss and I were involved in a pow-powing while checking the mail at the site of our former home. That home was burned down after over 2 years of threats from people in the area who repeatedly told us they would set it on fire. We reported these threats to law enforcement multiple times and nothing was done. Throughout the time, we were harassed regularly by individuals who made it clear they did not accept our relationship. Much of the harassment was openly homophobic. When we returned to the site to check our mail, we discovered the skull of one of our dogs and its harness placed in clear view. This caused both of us severe emotional distress. We began yelling and crying in response to the pain of what we saw. While we were doing this, a man approached us. He started yelling violent homophobic slurs at us. He then raised the gun from his lap and fired. Jonathan and I have no weapons. We were not threatening anyone. We were grieving. We were standing side by side. When the man fired, Jonathan pushed me out of the way. He saved my life. Jonathan is my husband. He gave me more love in our time together than most people ever get. We were newlyweds. We picked Valentine's Day. We were in the process of looking for a trailer and planning our future. He was murdered by someone who could not stand the sight of two men loving each other. And this is what happens when you're dealing with stuff like this in a country where there's actual things that we should be pissed off about, but we have a government that wants to be like, gay people are evil, trans people are trying to turn your kids into trans, they're trying to change your gender. They're coming for your, they want to infiltrate your sports. They sit and they say all this craziness to get y'all riled up, playing into your fears. Ooh, it's the new boogeyman. Queer people are the boogeyman. They're coming to kill you. They're coming to get you, Barbara. Like, it's very that. And these people are so indoctrinated in their hate. But don't worry, that old incel bastard is locked up because we got his mugshot courtesy of TMZ. So hold on, because I'll pull that up for y'all to see. So y'all know who this heifer is. Because I gotta find the photo. I was like, oh, I forgot. I put it under. I put it on the mugshot chair. Hold on, I got her. Here she is. Yeah, this is what this old bastard looked like. Well, and better do drop the soap, queen. Now they said, according to the Post, Johns and Gonzalez allegedly found the remains of one of their dogs left out for them to see. But that's like, wait a minute. So y'all went and killed these people's dog, and you left the dog so that when they came back, they would see it. Those are serial killer tendencies. Because don't they always say serial killers normally they start killing animals? And to me, it's like, why are y'all so concerned with how other people live their lives and what they doing? To the point where it's like, oh, I'm gonna take it upon myself to be judge, jury, executioner, and take your life because I hate what you're all about. And it's crazy to me that we have somebody who was a voice actor, and y'all living in a trailer. So, what else they had to say? Because I'm trying to move on from them because now it's in the article is actually breaking down the whole thing that I just read. We don't need to read that again. So now they said in a follow-up post, Gonzalez confirmed that he has absolutely no plans yet on the memorial service, but would keep fans posted. He said there's not a need to donate to the GoFundMe. He said, well, you know what? Hold on, because I want to take it off of here. I don't need to focus on this ugly bastard. Let's go back to this picture. Fuck him. So, and let me cover that up. We're going to go back to this picture. I just want y'all to see what he looked like. Okay, so now, so they said, but I want everyone to remember the joy and the love Jonathan has brought and will continue to bring forever. I have my essentials covered, and our family in San Antonio is taking care of me until I can get back to South Carolina. Instead of donating, Jonathan and I would both rather you spread the word about the consistent injustice done to him, to us, and to our dogs. We had so many beautiful plans for the future. Despite Gonzalez's claims, the San Antonio Police Department issued a statement on Twitter where they stated that they are currently investigating the murder of Jonathan Joss and whether it was a hate crime, but so far have found no evidence to indicate that Mr. Jones's murder or Joss's murder was related to his sexual orientation. Well, if somebody is seriously out here telling you that we were picked on, we were constantly called homophobic slurs, that they went and they killed our animal, left the remains out for us to even see when we came back to get our mail, which I would have been like, well, maybe it was a sense of excuse me, maybe it was an emergency because they were harassed so much that they didn't think about, okay, we need to find a new place, an address, and forward our mail, because they did say they were in the process of getting a new trailer. So they were probably in between places and trying to get them out of that situation, because living in that neighborhood was so insufferable and they felt that their lives was in danger. It was like, you know what, we're gonna go get our mail, and then here we go dealing with this shit. And then the neighborhood was like, oh look, they back. So they was out lurking, whatever the case was, sort of they was seeing what was going on. They yelling and all pissed off, and then you went and killed them because you don't like what they're all about. So now you out here in jail because you allowed your hate to take over who you are as a, you allowed your hate to take over. So the Parks and Recreation alum was powwowed and killed on the evening of June 1st at the age of 59. People previously reported, according to police, authorities were dispatched to a shooting in progress at Joss's address around 7 p.m. where they found him lying near the roadway. Despite attempting life-saving measures, paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. Officers quickly found and detained a suspect, 56-year-old Sigfredo of course, he's a meat. Why am I not surprised? Sigfredo Alvarez Seham, who had fled the scene in a vehicle. Now, if you was all about your homophobia, you should have stood 10 toes down in that shit. But of course, like a bitch, his ass ran. He has now been booked for Red Room, and the investigation is still ongoing. Per police, people can confirm that the suspect is a neighbor. So yeah, so you had a problem with him, and it was, and now we see what it is. Now, just 2 days before the fatal powwowing, Joss disrupted a panel about the upcoming King of the Hill revival at the ATX TV festival. And it kind of makes me wonder that, you know what, he probably was going to, now, because I did forget about that. They are doing a revival of King of the Hill. He probably was about to get back to doing voiceover work. And so he would have been out here acting again. And now he can't, because this asshole took his life. At one point, he stood up in the audience and spoke out about the discrimination he had been facing. He said, I'm an actor. I see a mic. I use it. I see a wrong. I make it right. I take a breath. I want to breathe. He then revealed, my house burned down 3 months ago because I'm gay. Before sitting back down, a showrunner on stage pointed out that Joss played John Redcorn on the iconic series and confirmed that he was set to return for the reboot. So he was even shouting this before his life was taken. So why would he lie? Like, literally, the evidence was there. But Texas being Texas, this is the result. They want to sit and lie and say, oh, no, it wasn't due to homophobia. Fuck out of here. It wasn't, you know it. But before we get up out of here, I do want to play this clip from It's Luke 7, one of my favorite people over there on social media, where this kid always goes in on bigots. He goes in on the Trump administration, and I ain't never heard an F word that he was not afraid to use. This boy cusses more than me. So, hold on. I was like, damn, I almost forgot how to get my own stuff. So let me pull up this clip that I saw over on his Instagram, and we'll come back and we'll talk. Please hold.
Ever want to hear another motherfucking conservative talk about how, well, we don't care what you do behind closed doors? Because last night, Jonathan Joss, an actor you might have seen in things like King of the Hill and Parks and Recreation, and his husband Tristan were getting the mail at their former residence that burned down at the beginning of the year. Upon getting there, they found the remains and harness of one of their dogs, quote, in plain sight. The two were immediately and understandably grief-stricken. They were then approached by a man shouting homophobic slurs, who then produced a firearm and opened fire. Jonathan pushed Tristan out of the way but was fatally wounded in the process, and the man was later arrested. This is all taken directly from Tristan's statement to the public, and he makes an important note to say that he and Jonathan were not threatening anyone, they were simply grieving. Now, any rational person hears this and thinks that's a fucking hate crime. But oh no, not conservative media. To them, this is a disagreement between neighbors. No, you fucking bigots. A disagreement between neighbors is when a Karen gets pissed because a fence is 1/8 of an inch over the goddamn property line. This is a fucking hate crime. And if you can't see this, or you push this fucking rhetoric about how, well, love who you love, just keep it behind closed doors, get fucked. I don't.
Well, look, and Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, but he always tells people to get fucked. That's like his ongoing thing. And I've heard so many people say run for office. Oh no, he's way too progressive for office. But I would like to see him be a politician because I feel like this new generation of politicians gonna be talking just like him. Y'all y'all already changed the narrative when it comes to how we see politics now. Politics of old, the way I grew up, is no longer null and void. Now it's about the trolling and it's about virality and being crazy and kooky and messy and all that stuff. So when they go low, we tap dance on the five rings of hell, apparently. So shout out to Luke. He always gives me my life when it comes to some of the videos that he has up on it. He's like one of my top go-tos when I want to have a cackle because he speaks like how I speak. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Shout out to Jonathan and his husband. You know, you didn't even really get to enjoy your marriage. Like y'all just got married and then this is what you got to deal with homophobic idiots out here. So, and especially with this being Pride Month, people, please be safe out here in these streets because I don't trust it feels so uneasy right now to be living in these dire times, especially with this current administration and then how the next 4 years is going to be. So I definitely want to hear from y'all, condolences and all that good stuff. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.